Welcome back everybody to BeamNG.drive, and today we're looking at the Civetta Bolide, more specifically a mod called the VSC package, which gives it a extra bodywork, new wheels and more power. And it's got a really nice paint job on it as well, with VSC standing for Veloci Speciale Civetta. So keeping in kind of Italian trend of being a really rather special version of a already special car. And this was built between 1990 and 1992, has 409 horsepower, 262 pounds-feet of torque, from a 3.9 litre turbocharged V8 engine, and it only weighs 3,042 pounds, so not much in the way of weight. So obviously being a low-slung sports car with not much in the way of ground clearance, and a really rather susceptible wheels, because they're really quite out in the open there. I'm not expecting it to survive this suspension area here very long, but I'll be interested to see how long and what happens to it, so let's get out there. Then we'll go on a rollover ramp and hit some explosive barrels, and then hit a cinder block wall just to see what else it can deal with. So yeah, this is incredibly quick. So much so that there was a bit of lag there. But yeah, this was one of the Bolide in standard version was one of the first cars added to this game. I think it came standard with the game, in fact. So I've driven this for quite a fair bit, but it is still quite a oversteer tendency kind of vehicle. Really, it does not like to be have the throttle stamped on immediately, because sometimes it can slip out. And even if it doesn't, it's still around corners susceptible to spinning out as well. So it's a car that you have to be really careful with at times. Is the front bent up a fair bit already? Yeah, being mid-engined as well, the front isn't going to be the strongest, because it's got no engine in there, no engine supports or anything like that. So it is quite exposed at the front, which might well not help in terms of crash safety, but we'll have to see that in the future. Hopefully get to the crash hole. Oh, there goes a tyre. It's always easy to lose a tyre when sliding across that surface there. And as a result, the rear is now even lower than it was originally, which is not helpful. Obviously, I would never expect a supercar to be able to manage to deal with this, but it is interesting to see if it can, or at least how much damage it will take while trying to. Oh, there goes a radiator. Come on. No. I think we've not got enough grip anymore. Traction at least, due to the busted tyre, or maybe it's something more to do with the bumper there. I do apologise for that. My Google device there going off for no reason. But yeah, that bumper there has torn up the front a bit and really not helped us at all, and I think we've lost some steering as well. Just trying to get that bumper out, which sometimes can happen. Yeah, that left wheel there is not responding, so let's just at least see what we can deal with until it busts itself open. Like that. Yeah, I think this is dead. Yep. I guess that's no surprise. Fragile supercars like this are never going to be able to deal with that kind of stuff for very long, if at all. So let's get to the rollover sled and see what happens in terms of rollover crash testing, which we'll do 3 of them. Although obviously if it doesn't survive even one of them, then obviously that would be a fail. Then we'll crash into some explosive barrels at 60 miles an hour, and then a cinder block wall also at 60 miles an hour. Problem with this car, getting up on that ramp is a little bit tricky. You have to carry a certain rate of speed, but not so much that you end up spinning out like that, or going right over it. It is incredibly quick. It's easily the fastest car that we've had on this series. There we go, second time's the charm. Right. Oh, didn't seem to activate it then. Do apologise. Right, let's see what happens. Now those wheels are quite exposed, so if any of them survive this first one, I'll be, or all three even, then I'll be surprised. Now you wouldn't expect this to roll all that much, given how low it is, and that is the case. Basically like the Moonhawk there in terms of how often it will roll. And because there's very little bodywork damage or roof damage, I don't anticipate it's going to do much more with the second roll either. I think with the Moonhawk it gradually, especially on the third roll, I think, it got more and more violent in terms of rolling over because of the shape of the roof was changing. I don't think that's going to be the case for this. We can at least... I have to change the roof of the roof line a little bit there, but I had to get it up on the ramp. Oh my god. See, this is why you don't have supercars in built-up areas, because you'll never be able to deal with any bump whatsoever. There we go. Third time's the charm. Right. Let's see what happens on this second roll. Bit more bodywork damage there, but again I don't think it's going to roll once more. Nope, because the suspension is quite, quite hard, and it's also obviously really rather low in terms of centre of gravity, so there's not much weight up on top to throw it over again. Certainly not like an SUV, which will roll for days if you do it like this. So yeah, let's see if it can survive this third and final one, and yeah, it'll be one of the best performing vehicles on this series in terms of this, if it survives this without much more damage and losing any wheels. I've just jinxed us because we've now lost a wheel. It still should be able to drive even without one of those. I have driven it with a half shaft broken before. We are rolling more this time. I think it's because we're impacting the bodywork rather than the wheels, because the wheels are quite tough and hard, whereas the bodywork is a lot softer. Well, it's taken a fair bit more damage this time. Still just about drivable, kind of. I mean, we would be even more so if the left wheel there was a bit more straight. But because it isn't, we're not really able to gain speed. But yeah, on the whole, I'd say that's a pass in terms of safety. It's yeah, roof hasn't really caved in. It has a little. Oh, actually, now I look at it, yeah, that has gone down quite a fair bit. All right then. It's a fail. It was a pass until the second, after the second goal, but the third one there just proved a little bit too damaging because, yeah, the roof has come down way below the driver's head. The car itself isn't really able to drive anymore, so yeah, that is, on the whole, a fail, unfortunately. It was looking hopeful after the second one, but yeah, that third one was a little bit too tricky for it to deal with. So let's reload this car if it doesn't crash on me. There we go. Let's get in line for the crash hard barrels. Which we will not struggle with to get to 60. Because yeah, this can do 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds and 0 to 109.1 seconds and going to a top speed of 184 miles an hour, which is really rather quick. I think you'll agree on that one. Whoa, that's a lot of damage to the front. Inevitably the radiator is leaking, but that's the least of our worries, to be honest, considering how high we've gotten up. Oh, that is a lot of damage, but the passenger safety hasn't been compromised by the looks of things. Yeah, everything still seems in order. Obviously the dashboard has taken a bit of damage, but that doesn't really matter. So yeah, interior space hasn't really been compromised, nor has headroom. But yeah, the rest of the car has taken a hell of a lot of damage, but surprisingly all of the wheels are still attached and it's still able to drive. Not very well, certainly wouldn't be road legal, but yeah, still moves. So yeah, that is a pass there. So let's see what happens when we come up against the cinder block wall at the same speed. Rather punishing at the front again, but it seems like the rest of the car has withstood that. The roof has come down a bit, but only in the middle and into the front, so it's not really come down over the driver or passenger. But you can see that those cinder blocks themselves are enough to crush the roof down. So that isn't all too promising for any future crash tests. So yeah. Talking of which, let's get to the crash hall and see how this deals with small overlap crash tests at 30, 40 and 60 miles an hour. So here we are at the crash hall, so this isn't going to struggle at all to get to any of the kind of speeds that we need today. So yeah, let's get down to 30 miles an hour. Unfortunately it reset the speed when I reloaded this car. But yeah, this should deal with 30 fine. Although I did say that about the previous vehicle that we used. I can't remember what it was now. Oh yeah, the van, and that was pathetic in terms of crash safety on this part. So yeah, let's see what happens here. Yep, that's fine. Now obviously this is different to other vehicles that we've used on this series. Only really the Autobello is the same as this in terms of not having its engine at the front, which means that there's less, you know, aspects to at the front that can take the impact of the crash, but it does mean that it might also well be really rather soft in terms of crashing, so it might slow it down a little bit better than if it had an engine up front, but we'll have to see. So let's see what happens at 40. Again, this car is more than able to get up to. Will it do good? Yep, pretty much. Not much difference there. Yeah, the roof has gone a little bit. Actually, that might well be more. Yeah, the roof has gone a little bit, but the door is a bigger difference from last time. Just in the fact that it's bowed out a little bit and come away from the roof line. But yeah, still overall, yeah, mightily impressive. Especially for a car, you know, that isn't, you know, a full-on production car. It's a very specialised vehicle. It's not going to be made in the same kind of numbers as the other vehicles that we've had on this series. So the fact it's got really good safety going for it is a massive surprise. But yeah, this 60 mile an hour impact is going to be the ultimate test. So let's see what happens. I think we've missed it a little bit there. I do apologise. Yeah, that was kind of inevitable really. The lack of elements up front really just ended up transferring a lot of the forces there into the rest of the vehicle, so the steering wheel has moved forward, the doors popped open, the roof has gone up, and yeah, survivability there would be practically nil. But you know, 2 out of 3 ain't bad really, considering how poorly the van was doing in the previous episode, which only managed 1, I think, out of these 3 tests. So yeah, and especially considering this, at the end of the day, is a supercar. Safety really isn't its priority. It's speed, acceleration, and handling, and looks as well. So yeah, the fact that it's able to deal with 30 and 40 mile an hour impacts really rather well is at least a positive. But yeah, 60 mile an hour is a complete failure. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get onto the highway and see how this deals with a 60 mile an hour impact against 2 similarly weighted vehicles, and then one that really isn't. Right, here we are at the highway. So yeah, we're going to go up against a street-tuned Ibishu Pessima, I think it's a Pessima wagon, which is about 11 pounds lighter than we are, so it's about the same as us. So yeah, should be interesting to see what we can do against a similarly weighted vehicle that is a little bit larger than we are, but nonetheless it should prove a good match. Oh yeah, we didn't get away with that very nicely at all now, did we? The steering wheel has not just gone down and forward, but the roof has caved upwards, the door has popped open, and yeah, a 60 mile an hour impact like that has been enough to also even break one of the rear quarter windows as well. So I mean, the Pessima hasn't gotten away with that nicely either, but it's a damn sight better than we are, that's for sure. And just goes to show that, yeah, the lack of an engine really is proving quite fatal to this car at high speeds. 30 and 40 mile an hour impact at the small overlap crash test was fine, but when you start getting up to 60 and more, then you're looking at a car that is not just able to deal with it, really. Oh, this is still going. But yeah, that is real devastating for the Bolide there. So yeah, not all that confident about how it's going to deal with the heavyweight vehicle that we'll get up to after this next one, but let's see if we can find something that's a little bit heavier, because we've gone for a little bit lighter one. Let's go for a little bit heavier. Let's go for a modern version of the car that we're in. Yeah, it's 3197, so that's £55 more, so not all that much. But this also has no engine up front. I forgot about this car, to be honest. Like the Bolide has no engine up front, and like the Autobello has no engine up front. So let's see what a modern version of this car can do. It's all-wheel drive and modern safety features. Oh, yeah, yeah. The Hirochi SS, whatever it's called, has managed to deal with that far better than we have. Even though, again, it has no engine up front, it's taken that impact infinitely better than we have. As you can see, the roof has barely moved, the doors haven't popped open, and yeah, the inside looks practically the same. Whereas with us, the roof has moved, the doors have, both doors have popped open this time. The steering wheel has moved, as well as the dashboard, and yeah, that's another fail. So yeah, that is a shame, really. So yeah, if it's failed that, then yeah, this next vehicle is not going to be proved too easy to deal with. But yeah, like I said, there's practically nothing gone on inside of here. So yeah, that does show how the difference in age has helped when it comes to cars without engines up front. I don't think we've done the Roma for a while, and because we're also gonna, we're in a low slung sports car, I think going for the off-road version should be a thing to go for, because it means that we are therefore gonna probably be higher than the car that we're hitting, which is never a good thing. So let's see what happens. This is going to be ultimate pain, I feel. Let's go 100 times and watch those wheels roll right over us. Yep, like that. Oh. Now this is the problem with SUVs these days. They're a lot more incompatible with other vehicles on the road. Not just, you know, cars like this Bolide, but, you know, hatchbacks, small economy cars, saloons. They're just so large nowadays that anyone that isn't in an SUV or a modern large SUV is just unlikely to survive. Saw it on a 5th gear crash test where they crashed a Honda Civic saloon car with a Land Rover Discovery going into the side of it, and the front of the Discovery practically touched the other side of the Honda. So just to put that across there. But obviously the SUV fails in terms of, you know, rolling over. Not going to be too bad for this one because it's got a roll cage, but if it was a normal SUV that would struggle to survive that. But overall, the Roma has survived that fine. Unlike this one, which, yeah, is still drivable, purely because it hit the front and the rest was just bodywork, but yeah, that is a devastating crash. Just how much the roof has gone down because the car rolled over is insane. But yeah, that just again shows how many cars are incompatible with one another when it comes to crashing. So yeah, nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is a really good mod. It's out on the repository on the game itself, so you just have to go into your, you know, mods and just look there for it. I think it's on the 1st or 2nd page at the moment. But yeah, it's a really good mod. There are other versions of the Bolide that are included with this mod, like a Targa version and other speedy car versions as well. But yeah, this is the one that drew my attention because of the decals and the fact that it does look like a 80s special version of a supercar. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.